All right, what's up, everyone? This is the Osmo.com NHL Hit the Ice show. We just got through lock there at the 2-game slate. Hope you guys got your degen lineups in. I certainly did, and there was some late breaking news. So I'm sure a lot of dead lineups as well. So that's always nice for kind of the people that were paying attention. I saw that Pominville moved back up to the top line with Eichel and Skinner, and then oh my God, Ovi is mega chalk. I mean, makes sense, but still people aren't going to have the right combos. So if you paid attention, should already be a win for you. Whether or not it works out, if you keep making correlated plays, you should have a long-term edge. So obviously not going to work out every night. Last night was a disaster. I'm glad I didn't watch any hockey. So I was out, didn't get to watch anything, and by the looks of it, I didn't really miss out on much. So a lot of disappointments last night from a DFS perspective. Buffalo won mega chalk. How much is Pominville though? I guess we could probably look at that. Stetcher night. It might be Stetcher night. I think you might be right. Yeah. I am. I think I'm gonna be on Stetcher. He's playing like 30 minutes a night. It's absolutely outrageous. So, yeah. Stetcher for sure gonna be a play. And then Line woke up. What do you have? Like 2 goals? I mean, whatever. Ehlers back certainly helps. But yeah, Line finally got one. Did he just get 1 or 2? Like I said, I wasn't really paying attention. I'm just kind of looking back at everything right now. 8.5 DK points. Wow. 2 goals. Nice. Well, there you have it. Yeah, Vegas 1 was a letdown. Vegas 2 was a letdown. Calgary 1. I don't know what happened there. My God. They combined for 2 points with no Getzlaff. What happened? Was anybody watching that game? I mean, how do you get 4 shots on goal? Vegas 1 wasn't a letdown? They got a full line goal? I mean, they got a full line goal, but they combined for 10.5. So they got a full line goal, but nothing else. So you still want more, even at cheap prices like that. So at least I would. I don't know. I saw some of the lineups up on top last night, and it did not look like anything I would ever play. So I just wasn't going to win last night. As simple as that. The full line stacks did not work out. Kane, dude, I saw Kane had like 13 shots on goal. That's insane. Larkin was Larkin, 7.5 DK points. The guy's just amazing no matter what the matchup is. Minnesota 3 was pretty good. Almost shipped the 150 with the Chicago PP stack. Yeah, they only had 3 goals, right? But Kane, I mean, he was huge. Tays, 6.5. Kajula got left off, obviously. DeBrincat got on the score sheet as well. So all the big boys for the Hawks did their jobs, it looks like. And I didn't have any Kane, Tays with DeBrincat. So Kajula 0.5 kind of hurt, even though he was super cheap. Panarin Goose Egg. Yeah, so they play again tonight. And we'll get to that game in just a bit, but yeah, I think that line is going to be one that I'm going to be on. I don't know, what contests are you guys playing today? Because like on DK, I don't know, I haven't checked out FanDuel. I'll go check out FanDuel actually right now. Maybe I should play over there today. And by the way, the lock is what, 2 hours early today. So just be aware of that. I mean, I usually do the show at this time anyways, but yeah, 2 hours early today, so 5 Eastern. So just be aware of that on DK. Looks like FanDuel has a different lock time. So I'm just learning of that right now. I go by what DK does. So so Pominville goal he scored. Oh, let's go. That's perfect. There we go. That's exactly what we need. 6%. He's 6%. All right, let me check this out. All right, guys, you should play these early slates, and this is why. I didn't play super heavy, but here. Was it a full line goal? It was a full line goal. So look at this. Eichel is 44%. Skinner 27%. People had a half an hour to react to this news. And Pominville still 8%. So it was a full line goal, but you need the goals, obviously. And if this guy scores the goals, this is at most an 8% owned stack. But not even close to 8% of people have Pominville with Eichel and Skinner. So it's probably more like a 3 or 4% stack because people just aren't paying attention. So if you react to late news, I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't want to play these slates where there's not a ton of news coming out. If you're going to be around your computer, that is. So not even saying I'm going to end up profiting on this slate, but that's why I always err on the side of changing my lineups and going with the lines that they're going to have. It's just such a big advantage. If it works out, you get paid off so much more than if everybody already knows the lines. So play the short slates, play the showdowns. I'm sure VC scored now too. Is that right? Okay, so there we go, as I'm talking about that. So the two guys that got switched up onto the top lines have scored. So it doesn't usually work out this well. But like, look at this. I've got looks like three variations of this. Eichel with the Zibanejad line. The two guys that are the lowest owned of both stacks scored. Like, it doesn't work out much better than that. So whatever. It's lucky, obviously, but make the changes. It's a big edge. Why'd you stay away from New York? I mean, okay, so they lost a couple of their players, but still have Zibanejad, still have, what's his name? So Zibanejad, Kreider, and then VC's fine. Like, they have Butch. They're fine. And the Devils, it's not like the Devils are that scary. So, yeah, they beat Ottawa, but everybody beats Ottawa. So, yeah, good start to the early slate for sure. Oh, Buchnevich got an assist on that. Okay, so some people got bailed out. Whatever. He still didn't get the goal. If Butch would have scored, that would have obviously been bad, but we're all good. We're all good. So 8 games. Oh, wait, is that right? Yeah, 8 games. We're going to go through the DK slate, of course, because DK is better than FanDuel. Even though I hate the contest DK is offering today because it's a Saturday. They did not bring back the $5 or the $10, whatever they had last Saturday that I really enjoyed playing. I thought they'd maybe give it a chance, but, wishful thinking. Obviously, they are not offering it. They're not even really offering an $8 either, so there's nothing to MME. Yeah, the $8 absolute disgrace. Actually, let me go back to DK right here. So this tournament, always a good one, especially if you're not making a ton of lineups. Payout structure is usually good, as you see there. So never have an issue with the $4 forecheck. That's probably the best tournament that they offer, consistently at least. This is obviously fine if you're playing, if you're getting into MME, 20 lineups in the hip check, I think you should. Got to play the 222. Yeah, DK early was just 2 games. It was just the 1 Eastern games. But like, look at this selection. Like, I just talk about it all the time, but this tournament's probably fine. I don't know how many lineups I'm making today. So, we'll see. I might just do 3 in this and just put them in the 40 and go heavy on 1 or 2 spots and call it good. But it's just, there's just no selection, as I always talk about. So who knows if things will change, but it's just going to be me being mad about these contests. But that's all right. We'll still talk about the games. I'm sure there's going to be some potential edges here. So we'll start with Carolina and Dallas. Looks like the implied totals here. Let me do a quick refresh. I thought it was 2.8 for both teams. Let me check here. 2.7, 2.8 for both teams. Probably going to be Mrazek against Khudobin. I think that's right. Neither of these guys confirmed, so I may have the goalies wrong. We haven't updated, it looks like. The lines look right here. Stahl back, returning for the Hurricanes. While I say that, check out Nolan Kelly's line change article. I believe he's going to have one today. I'm sure there's going to be quite a bit of news with the trade deadline and stuff. So check out his article. It'll drop, I'm sure, later this afternoon. Power plays up on the slate by Chris Wassel. I did the Stacks article today. Only listed 2 because, honestly, there were really only 2 spots that I really liked. And maybe we'll go through and find a few more. But I see one here that I like, and that's Carolina 1. It's a price thing. They're under 18K to stack. Obviously, awesome numbers. 80 shots, shot attempts per 60. They're creating a ton of high danger chances, a ton of just general scoring chances. There's just nothing as far as them as a line holding me back from playing them. Low total is a little bit concerning. Dallas at home, a little bit concerning for the season. And then they've been doing some weird stuff as far as line matching some games, not line matching other games. But I'm pretty certain we're going to see Sagan going up a good amount against Aho, Niederreiter, and Williams, especially because they're probably going to want to keep Sagan away from Stahl. Obviously, they're shutdown guy. And that would be kind of playing right into Carolina's hands if they had Sagan go up against Stahl for an extended period of time. So I think we're probably going to see these 2 lines see a good amount of each other, 6, 7, 8 minutes, somewhere around there. And for me, that's a huge advantage for Carolina 1. They're probably not going to pop for a lot of people, but just based on how good they've been as a line, and then if they get this matchup, the Sagan line's been really bad. Defensively, they had one game where they kind of got there, but here they're going to really have their hands full if they go up against Carolina 1. So Carolina 1 for me here. And then as far as other, any sort of other plays here, I'm probably sticking away from the Faxa line. Same thing with the Stahl line. And then I don't really like any of the defenders here. I think Heiskanen is probably my favorite value guy, just low-owned value guy at 4,100. But that is really, really about it. So, again, limited lineups, and kind of going to have to make the cut somewhere, but I think Carolina's going to be in that cut. Carolina 1 at least. Jordan Stahl makes Carolina 1 nastier? What do you mean? The Aho line, it makes them better. I agree, it makes the Aho line better, especially when they're at home. Aho can go up against the depth lines. So when they get back at home and they're going to have Stahl shutting down whoever it is, then Aho gets to just roam free with this really awesome line he's playing on. All right, let's move it on. Kings and Panthers, another barn burner here. Looks like 2.4 implied total for the Kings, 3.1 for the Panthers. This should be a pretty slow-paced game, I think, as most Kings games are. Quick and Luongo expected to go here. Again, confirm. Nothing set in stone just yet, especially with the trade deadline. Weird things can happen. Barkov probably going to go up against Kopitar, Iafallo, and Brown. This Barkov line actually did, I think they did an okay job. I was looking at some of the stuff on Natural Stat Trick in their last game against Carolina 1, which is saying something. Carolina 1's been so good. This Barkov line does have good numbers, and they're probably going to go up against Kopitar, like I said, but I'm just, at this point, not worried about the Kopitar line. I'm never worried about the Kings. They try to slow it down, and that's basically all they do. It's an okay price here. I think I still have Carolina 1 ahead of them, so I'm not sure if I'm getting to Florida, but yeah, they do have the advantage in that they're at home, and they're against a worse team than Dallas. So if you wanted to go with Florida 1 over Carolina 1, I wouldn't hate it. I think for me, it's probably going to still be Florida 1 if I'm going in that range. Effing Devils. What did the Devils do now? Strome scored? Buchnevich got an assist again. Wow. So everyone's getting bailed out on that, but that's all right. Other stuff in this game, I like Trocheck's price. I like him with Dadonov. I don't know about Jace. I don't even want to attempt to. Jace H, we'll call him. Don't even want to attempt his last name. Carter could be dealt. That's possible. So there's just no Kings here in play. There's no way I can go to them. Even if I had 150, I honestly don't know if I would get to them at this point. Like, Kopitar line isn't fun. Carter, like I said, could be dealt. Man, it's tough times for the Kings. Sorry, Boom. I don't have anything else as far as defensemen in this game. You kind of know who the obvious guys are if you're going to Florida 1. It's probably Yandel or Ekblad, maybe if you're going to either of the top two. And I think Spangenberg's still in play for the Kings, so he might be the one guy that sneaks in a lineup out of the Kings tonight. Sharks and Blue Jackets, we've got a 3.4 implied total for the Sharks on the road here, 3.1 for the Blue Jackets. Martin Jones probably going to go as he usually does, especially after the shutout in Pittsburgh. And Sergei Bobrovsky expected to go for the Jackets, who look like they're all in to try to make a push here. Got Duchesne. Duchesne with Panarin and Atkinson, that news came out 30 minutes before lock yesterday. So if you swapped, you did the right thing. Didn't work out. Dubois moves down with Bjorkstrand and Duclair. Jenner stays with Foligno and Josh Anderson. The lines pretty much stayed the same with the Blue Jackets, which I was pretty surprised to see looking through some stuff yesterday. This morning, looking at yesterday's game against Ottawa. This Duchesne line did a really good job generating chances. You'd expect them to be okay here. They're probably going to go up against the Couture line, I would think. For the most part, I don't know if there's going to be a hard match. We're talking about John Tortorella here. It could be Jenner against Couture for some time. You just never really know with the Blue Jackets, but it's going to be these two lines, Jenner, Foligno, and Anderson, the Duchesne line against these top six for the Sharks, if I had to guess. I like the idea of the Dubois line. I just don't know if I can get there. Playing on a back-to-back, the Sharks are pretty sound. They've got okay depth. And I think I like this Hurdle line quite a bit, again, for the Sharks. They're priced up. Kane and Hurdle, they're still at prices where they're not going to pop a ton in optimizers. But I always include Donskoy, so he's good salary relief. And that line just has such good even strength numbers. Columbus obviously played last night. They haven't been great defensively lately. And hold on a second, Ryan H. I'll answer that in just a second. Or I'll check on that, I guess I should say. I really want Duchesne line here, and then I like the Hurdle line. 3.4 implied total. I still don't think they're going to be that heavily owned. And then, as is always the case, you can play Burns or Carlson with either of the top two lines. Again, I'm probably sticking with the second one if I have to choose between one. But I'm looking to have exposure to both of these top two Sharks lines, and then definitely the top line here for Columbus. Burns, Carlson, two of my favorite plays. Burns, highest raw projected player on the slate, so surprise there. Carlson, not far behind. He's $800 cheaper. I'm going to be looking for ways to jam both of those guys into lineups. You can play them together, I think. I don't have an issue with that, even without a Shark stack. And it's obviously Burns if you're targeting just one of them, but salaries make it a little bit difficult because you've got a pricing discrepancy between the two. On the Columbus side, it'd probably be... oh, wait, let me check on this quick. I thought I saw something about Seth Jones being on the top unit yesterday. So I'm going to check into that really quick. I don't want to tell you guys lies here. Because, I mean, I'd prefer Seth Jones if he was going to be on the top unit, obviously. But if Werenski's there, again, salaries make it a little bit tough. Let's look at the 5-on-5 power play time. Yeah, it looks like Jones moved back onto the top unit last night. So maybe a potential edge if you are stacking the Blue Jackets to go with Jones and then the line one. That gets really expensive really fast. But if you can do it, if you like some of these depth lines, and I really don't, but if you do, then Jones would probably be the guy that you go with. Because who knows if DFO will update Jones on the top power play based on what they did last night. All right. Avalanche and the Predators. We have Colorado coming off a back-to-back after winning last night in Chicago. Road back-to-back. They go up against a much, 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 much better team in the Predators. 2.7 implied total for the Avs. Looks like 3.8 for the Predators here. Avs another 4 times shorthanded yesterday. They just cannot get out of their own way. They take a ton of penalties. And, man, it's astonishing at this point how much they like to be shorthanded. I think they have 13 more times shorthanded than any other team in the league. It's just crazy. Like, they just cannot stop taking penalties. The issue with the Preds is they have a really bad power play, and I still don't understand why they would. It's been the same personnel for the last couple years. Looks like they split up Johansson and Forsberg, but I believe it was Forsberg and Fiala on the top unit, and then I think Johansson was with the second unit last night. Still the top line is my much preferred play. I think you can just go Johansson with Forsberg and Arvidsson if you wanted to. Arvidsson, a perfectly fine play even for 7K here. Not particularly scared of any of the Avs lines, especially on the back-to-back. Probably going to be Johansson against McKinnon for the most part. Who knows? The Avs might go back to Landeskog, Rantanen, and McKinnon. That's a very real possibility. So I don't know that I'm getting to much Colorado. If I knew that this line was going to stay together, or maybe McKinnon and Kerfoot were going to stay together, I'd probably play some of that line. I just don't know if I'm going to get to them. If it's going to be the big three reunited and super expensive going into Nashville, that's not really something I'd want a part of. And I'm just going to hammer this top line for the Preds. They're just way too cheap if Fiala's going to be up there. All right, couple questions. With McDavid out, are the projections with him in right now. Do I have him in the projections right now? Let me see. Oh, I do have him in. All right, I'll take him out. Not much. I mean, stuff would change, but like many players, the actual players themselves, like the point projections aren't going to change all too much with McDavid out of the lineup. The Oilers just become a much worse team. The Oilers without McDavid, like they can't do anything without McDavid. So, like I looked at the Nugent-Hopkins line, and we'll talk about this later. I looked at the Nugent-Hopkins line to maybe see if we could play them. Nugent-Hopkins, Draisaitl, and Kassian, what they did against Arizona. It's nowhere close to the same. Question with FC, Jake, is each thumbs up 8%. It lets you go up 3 times. Yeah, it does. 8%. So it's 8, 16, 24, I believe, based on the original projection that you have in for him, for each player. Man, Rangers again. Okay. Look at that. So Rangers won, and some sort of Buffalo, it looks like, is going to bink. I think I got a bunch of those, so hopefully could start off Saturday with some profit and then lose it all on this terrible main slate. Okay, like I said, you're probably okay stacking this second line for the Predators. Mainly it's just Arvidsson. Like, you're just getting really cheap exposure to Arvidsson, who I just absolutely love. So it makes sense. Yeah, that's really all I have. I mostly want the top line for the Preds, but if you want to mix in some Nashville too, I think that's perfectly fine. And then probably not going to go with much Avalanche here, unless something really changed, or something came out that they were going to play McKinnon and Kerfoot together with Rantanen or something like that. Then I'd be more interested. But short-ish slate, medium size, and a bunch of other better spots, I'm probably going to pass. Yossi and Ellis, I think, are actually both really awesome plays, as is Subban. So play all the Preds defensemen here against the Avs if they're going to continue to be shorthanded a bunch. The Preds power play hasn't been good, maybe a little bit unlucky, but I think these are all really good prices for all three of these defenders. Probably not Ekholm. He's the one guy I wouldn't really have. What's Paul Mary's percentage? Why is Paul Mary out? What happened here? Oof. Looks like the early slate is just going off. Appreciate the updates, though. That's good stuff. I think we're probably ready to move on here. So Nashville is one of the two spots that I really am in love with, and then the other one is going to be in this game. No surprise, we've got the Canadiens. Boom, QQ, noob here. Okay to fade Burns. No, don't fade Burns. Don't fade Burns. All right, Canadiens and the Maple Leafs. We have, it looks like a 6 implied total. I thought it might be more, but 2.6 of that going to the Canadiens, 3.4 going to the Maple Leafs. Burns, Stetcher, sure. Carey Price, Frederik Andersen expected to go here. I don't know if either of these teams are on a back-to-back. And not that it really matters, but just in terms of knowing who's going to start this game, maybe we see backups on one of the teams. Who knows? It doesn't really matter for me. I think the Leafs are going to be able to generate just a ton of chances. So a couple things here. I think Tavares is going to go up against Danault, Drouin, and Gallagher. I'm pretty confident we're going to see Danault, Drouin, and Gallagher. We saw that last game. So I was actually wrong on what I thought the Montreal lines were going to be, even though they announced the ones that I thought they were going to be in warm-ups. They basically skated the whole game with these lines. And so, I thought that this would be an okay line defensively, and then this one would be really terrible. But it looks like Tatar is kind of the one that's driving the possession. Wherever he goes, that's the line I kind of want to avoid to a certain extent, or at least the one that I think is going to be better defensively. So, summing that up, Tavares is going to go up against Danault, Drouin, and Gallagher. They went up against the Danault line on February 11th, I believe. I'm thinking of the Philadelphia game. They played earlier in the season, maybe like the first game of the season, and it was Tavares against Danault. Would expect that here with both Gallagher and Drouin on the top line. So pretty confident in how the lines are going to match up here. That leaves Matthews to go up against Domi, Tatar, and Shaw. That line's actually been not too bad defensively yet. It's an 80-minute sample or so, I believe, and they're only giving up like 10.5 high danger chances against per 60. So if we saw the normal lines of Matthews and Kapanen with Marleau, I'd probably be less interested in Matthews because, seeing the numbers of this line, they're not great to target at least, but they put Andreas Janssen on the top or on Matthews' line last game, and he had like 10 shots on goal or something just outrageous. He scored. He plays on the power play as well. Yeah, 10 shots on goal. He's super, super talented, as is Kapanen. And then Matthews in the middle of those two, so don't leave either of those two off. I don't know if Kadri's playing. If Kadri doesn't play, we're going to probably see Andreas Janssen on the top power play as well. Montreal, 7th most time shorthanded, too. So the Leafs' top 6 is, just take your pick here. I'm probably going to have more exposure to Tavares, Marner, and Hyman just because of the even strength matchup. And I think the Matthews line will get a little more attention because Andreas will play power play 1 if no Kadri. You obviously get Marleau off that line, which is what you really want. But man, if you like Matthews, if you want to save a few dollars there, I would have no issue with it. I just love the spot for the Leafs. I think short of a Carey Price standing on his head performance, I think they're going to score 5+ here. So give me some Leafs in limited lineups. If I'm doing 3 max in that 222 or whatever, there's no way that I don't end up with Leafs on at least one, probably more to like 2 or even 3 lineups. So I think it's a really, really good spot. If I am going to Montreal, it's tough. I don't have a strong lean. I'd probably go with the Domi line. Matthews a little bit worse defensively than Tavares. I don't think you're going to see a lot of people on this Montreal too. So that's where I would go. I don't even know if I'll end up getting there. Basically all about the Leafs top 6 here. Just want to reiterate that. And then Morgan Riley for 6K. He's an okay add-on, especially with the Matthews line, just for price sake. But you could play him with the Tavares line. The price is a little tough. I'd want to get up to Yossi or even Carlson if you can afford the extra $200 or $300. But I'm not going to say don't play Riley. I think he's a perfectly fine correlation defenseman if you're going with 4-3-1 or something like that. Nothing really on the Canadian side. Like I said, I think this has a chance to be a pretty one-sided affair in the Leafs' direction. Could be dead wrong, but I don't know. If the Leafs get shut out here, you'll see me at the bottom of the standings. All right, let's go to the next one. Oh, I actually do like Freddie Anderson. I will say that as well. So Leafs Onslaught. I actually do think that's a fine price for him at 8,100. Penguins and Flyers, we have... Oh, okay. First of all, this is the outdoor game. So they updated this morning. I don't know if it's rain or snow. I'm assuming it's snow. It's Philadelphia. It's probably pretty cold there. But there's some sort of precipitation expected to happen here during the game time, around the game time. The NHL came out and said this game is going to happen. They plan on it happening. Things could change. So obviously, almost never have to worry about weather with hockey. But this game being outdoors, check. There will be a big fuss made on Twitter if something were to happen. So it's going to be pretty hard to miss it if this game ends up not playing or whatever. But it's going to lock at 8 Eastern. So just pay attention to that. Pay attention to weather for this hockey game is the thing. Matching here. Is it supposed to be rain? Okay, I don't know. I mean, you probably, you can play through snow, right? You can just shovel it off, but I wonder how rain would affect the island. That's interesting. I don't know. I don't want to act like I'm some weather expert, so maybe you guys can tell me, how would rain differ from snow? Like, that seems like rain would be tougher to play through than snow, right? Because snow, the puck would just move. It just wouldn't slide as much, but I don't know. Well, all right. So assuming this game's okay to play, Couturier against Crosby, Gensel, and Rust, they actually did a good job against them a couple weeks ago when these two teams played. And I think the lines were the same. Maybe it was actually Simone with Crosby and Gensel, which would even be a better line. But the Couturier line did hold them pretty well at even strength. Penguins won this game 4-1 when they played in Philadelphia. So I actually like the Couturier line here. I like what I've seen out of this line. If you look at their Corsi for, Corsi against numbers, they're not spectacular, but like chances-wise, they're a really solid shutdown line. And they do have offensive upside, as we saw them. Couturier got a hat trick against Bergeron about a month ago. So just because they're the shutdown line when they're at home doesn't mean that Couturier and Voracek don't have offensive upside. And then Lindblom is just never owned. He's always cheap, and he does get power play time as well. So Couturier line is going to get the worst of the defensive matchups. Crosby, not a guy I love targeting, but with Rust on that line, I think they're okay to target. I think you might get pretty low ownership here on Philadelphia 2. I think some people will be on Philadelphia 1 because you've got Patrick there at 3,800 with Konechny and Giroux. So that line's cheaper. And they're going to get the better matchup against Malkin and Kessel and Zach Aston Reese. Malkin, Kessel really bad defensively. They haven't been great with Aston Reese there. Wouldn't expect him to make a huge difference. So the top 6 for Philadelphia is kind of what I like here. Kessel seems broken right now. He's really not doing much at all. So maybe people will get lured in by that low price, 5,800. Malkin line's going to get the better of the two matchups, but I just don't really love that line, especially with Malkin and Kessel split up on the power play. Hornquist up on that top unit now. And that is confirmed, actually. We saw that in practice. So that's not a guess by any site. That actually happened. I saw that confirmed by beat writers yesterday. I wonder if people will go to the Pittsburgh power play here with it all split up. I'd probably just play Schultz. I do like him for 3,700 on Crosby's unit, on Malkin's unit, on Hornquist's unit. So that's probably where I would go if I'm playing any sort of Pittsburgh. Schultz is an okay option. Or Pettersson, but I still do prefer Schultz for $400 more if you can afford it. Philly top 6, especially that second line, I think is going to be pretty sneaky. So hopefully this one plays. But we shall see. Outdoor games, smaller ice rinks, and bigger goals. All in, more goals. So we're seeing differing opinions in here. It'd be annoying when skating, and depending on how much would probably always be affecting vision, being all over the visor. That makes sense. No idea what I'm saying. Fade what I said. All right, we'll fade what you said. All right, let's go to the next game. Another great one. Islanders and Canucks. We've got a 5.5 total here, 2.9 of that going to the Isles, 2.6 going to the Canucks. Man, this one, woof. So we're probably going to see Horvat see a bunch of time against Nelson, Lee, Everley. Maybe you see some time against Barzell. If Llama's in chat here, Kuhnackel, 2,900, still skating with Barzell and Bailey. Who knows why? But Llama, if you're in chat, there's your Kuhnackel shout out. I guess the only real play here is the obvious one for me, and like if I'm 3-maxing, I don't know how I end up on Pettersson and Besser. This line was pretty high event. They did generate a lot of chances in their one game they've played with Spooner. So there you go. There's something positive about the Canucks here. They're just an underwhelming team for me. There's 8 games to choose from, and even though it's not a great slate, for me to like want to sacrifice one of my 3 lineups, if indeed I end up doing that on this line, I think would be a stretch. I'd rather just get more Nashville, more Toronto. I know those lines will be chalkier, but I do think there are much better spots. And Pettersson and Besser always get owned, especially with the $2,500 line mate. Stetcher and Hutton, though, are probably my 2 favorite plays here. Stetcher played 27.5 minutes in the last game. Or I'm sorry, Hutton played 27.5. I think Stetcher played over 30. Canucks so underwhelming, but man, they look good on paper. Right. So they've got two names there, Pettersson and Besser. I mean, you could include Horvat in that, but whenever Pettersson and Besser are together, they're probably going to be somewhat owned. I don't think it's that great of a spot. I don't know that they've got the firepower to really go nuts here against the Islanders. Maybe I'm completely misreading this, but that's just kind of my thoughts here. Any defenders who are going to play 30 minutes, Stetcher and Hutton, I'm talking about in those price ranges, 3,600 and 3,200, I think you have to consider. And I'm certainly doing that tonight. Just way too cheap. And Stetcher actually has been shooting a little bit more. I don't know about per 60, but just playing 1 million minutes a game, like he's going to get a couple shots on goal and a couple blocks. So 3,200 is just a clear underprice. Same thing with Hutton, 3,600. He let me down when I was chasing the other night, but I'm going right back to him. He's going to be even lower owned than Stetcher. So take your pick there. I've got him projected pretty closely. So Stetcher probably comes up as a little bit of a better value, whereas Hutton a little bit, 0.1 or 0.2 more raw points in the projection. Yeah, DK not really paying attention to Stetcher and Hutton. They're VOTs. I agree with that. Like, there should be a rule. If you've played 25 plus minutes for 5 straight games, your salary should go up, $1,000. It's crazy. But I guess Stetcher's price has gone up from like 2,500 to 3,200 in the last week and a half. So there's that. But like Suter plays 30 minutes a game and he doesn't do all that much. He plays on the top power play, probably on a little bit of a better team, but like he's 5K every night. Isles, man, this top line is super cheap. I don't like targeting against Horvat though, and I guess that's really all I've got there. I wouldn't go as far as saying I want to play Horvat, but I think they're enough for me to kind of keep me off of Nelson and Everly and Lee. So if this game goes nuts, outside of a Stetcher or Hutton 2 or 3 point game, I'm probably going to be at the bottom of the standings. Ducks and Oilers last game of the night. We have Kevin Boyle possibly going up against Koskinen. This one, 5.5 applied total, 2.9 to 3 going to the Oilers, 2.5 to 2.6 going to the Ducks. Ryan Getzlaf was scratched last night. If he's back, I think I'm really on the Ducks here. The Oilers are terrible. They're terrible defensively with no McDavid. They're terrible defensively without McDavid. I don't like. They're just not going to be able to generate anything. So we see Boyle at 6,900. I think that might get some people's attention. I mean, I don't know. That doesn't really do all that much for me. I'm just more interested in playing some Anaheim 1. Like, I've been playing them when they're this cheap against some bad teams, bad defensive teams, like the the Caps on Sunday. And when Getzlaf's 5,100, assuming he's able to go, like, that might be a bit of an assumption, just 24-hour turnaround. I didn't actually see what he was out with. I just had to quickly swap to Henrique. But this line's under 15K as a line going up against McDavid-less Oilers with Koskinen in net. Like, if you just look at this top 6 for the Oilers, the Ducks have a clear advantage with that line, Getzlaf or Kellen Perry. I know they haven't been fantastic, but they're still way better than anything the Oilers have to offer. They're dirt cheap. They're on the road, so I don't think people are going to be crazy on them. I also like Silverberg here for 4,300 if you're one-offing. But, yeah, it's really tough to want to play the Oilers, even against the Ducks here, who I love targeting. But, man, no McDavid, just a giant, giant hole in their forwards. I think Fowler is in play. I also think Lindholm is another guy that I do like for 4,400. So more on the Ducks than the Oilers here. Maybe people try to get cute and play Nugent Hopkins with Gagne or Draisaitl. I mean, if he's skating with Lucic, no thanks. It's just two bad teams here, but one team's missing their best player. The other team also could be missing their best player. But by the way, that suspension on McDavid, I'm not sure what that was. I mean, don't know why he got suspended 2 games for that, but okay, NHL. I don't know if these power plays are correct. That could have been from last night. If Getzlaf plays, I'm probably going to have a few Ducks stacks in my lineups. If he does not play, this game's probably a write-off altogether outside of some defensemen. I think you can play either Klefbom or Nurse there for 5K and 5,100 for Klefbom. So this slate kind of peters out, and it's just Nashville and Toronto for me. Maybe some Philadelphia. Oh, I'm sorry. Not just Nashville and Toronto. I think this game is probably your best bet for a lot of shots and scoring chances. Just a bunch of different options. I kind of broke it down. I want this really expensive Columbus 1 or kind of San Jose 2. But you've got Burns and co there. And then if you're getting contrarian, Carolina 1. I think I'm going to continue to ride them. They're just so good offensively, so dominant possession-wise. So if anybody's got anything for me, you want to see Cruncher or whatever, I've got a few minutes. So yeah, if you got anything you want to see, any combos or whatever, I'll gladly fire it up. Otherwise, we can get out of here because we've got lock in 3 hours instead of 5 hours. Leafs bagel again? No. The Leafs are going to put up 5, I think, Corsi. Crunch Q? Yeah, let's hear it, Ryan. Corsi, don't you think this is a really good spot for the Leafs? Or am I just missing something here? Matthews with Janssen, I mean. Thumbs up. Is each thumb 8%? Yeah, it is. And then each thumbs down would also be 8% decrease. So there you have it. download Jake's projections and use it for FC? Yes, you can. Any thoughts on king stack? Yeah, don't stack them. That would be my thought on the king stack. Habs exposure? Yeah, I think I'd probably rather go with the Domi line. Corsi, I don't know. There's just no correlation on their power plays. But I think I side with the Domi, Tatar, Shaw line if I'm doing one of those. Or, you know, I kind of skipped over them, but you could go with Kotkaniemi and Armia. I like those two together. What's happening with the outdoor game? They're playing it, right? Unless something just got updated. Oh, they're worried about wind? Oh. I mean, if they're worried about wind, that could be a real issue. The wind won't affect it. Florida 1? Yeah, Florida 1's, like I said, I think they're okay. They're not going to be a heavy target of mine, though. What D-man gets the most minutes with the hurdle line? That's a good question. We can look at what they do on the road. They don't really, you know, they're not really partial to playing certain defensemen with certain lines off the top of my head, but I'll check what they did. Was this 2 nights ago? Let's see. So home road obviously matters in hockey, but I'm looking at road games for Carlson and Burns. Let's see. So hurdle, I mean, man, who did Burns skate with? The hurdle line actually skated a lot with Dylan and Braun. So the third pairing last game in Pittsburgh, and then let's see what the Couture line skated with. They skated a lot with Carlson and Vlasic. Who did Burns go with for the most part then? Burns kind of goes with everyone, it looks like. Yeah. So it's tough to say. Burns with hurdle? EK with Pavelski. Already checked? All right. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense, Corsi. They're going to play Carlson with Pavelski because the Duchesne line probably going to see the most time against Couture. Okay. No, that makes sense. Kopitar, Kovalchuk, and Toffoli. Is that going to be a line? I've wanted the Kopitar Toffoli thing to work out, but it really has not. Anytime they've tried it, it's just maybe they just don't play well together. Okay. High wind warning has been issued. I'm assuming that's in Philadelphia. Okay. Well, this should make for an interesting slate. Play the best plays. I think the best plays are as followed. I'll go through them quick. Carolina 1. Really like that. I think Florida is definitely in play, even for limited lineups for me. I don't know if I'll get there. Of course, he thinks it's a great Florida power play spot. Makes sense. Kings are awful at everything. This game seems like there should be a lot of shots and scoring chances. I'm kind of siding with Columbus 1 and San Jose 2. And then love Nashville, really the top 6. But Nashville 1 plus Arvidsson, all the defenders from that game. You guys already know my thoughts on Burns and Carlson, of course. This game, I think, I really love Toronto's top 6. Leaning towards Tavares and Marner. If you like this line for cheaper, I certainly understand that. Anderson's going to be one of my highest exposed goalies. In this game, outdoor game, of course, make sure you check on the weather for that game, which is weird to say. Yeah, I've got this game at yellow-orange, so leaning towards yellow. I I do like the Couturier line, and I don't think they're going to be very owned. Going up against Crosby, they had success against them at even strength in their last meeting just a couple weeks ago. So I'm willing to give that a shot at low ownership. Not really on the Penguins, surprisingly. This one, I don't really have much besides Hutton and Stetcher. And then the same thing kind of with this one. If Getzlaf plays, so I'm hoping we get word. I don't think the Ducks will skate, which sucks. But I'm hoping we get some idea of whether or not Getzlaf's playing. Because then I'd really like to play Getzlaf with Raquel and Perry, even on the back-to-back. Not exactly sure what the Getzlaf injury was or if it's a long-term thing or what. Assuming it was just an illness. He's like the king of getting late scratched. And he's always in these West Coast games. So he makes it tough. Getzlaf makes it tough on us. Vegas doesn't seem to be fazed by the outdoor thing. Not yet, at least. Maybe once we get closer to game time, if the total moves down, that might be an indication that the weather's bad. Still interested if Getzlaf's out? Not really. I think maybe just Silfverberg as a one-off. I do like Silfverberg in general at 4,300, but if Getzlaf's out, I probably wouldn't be playing Ducks then. So that's really about it. Thanks for the people that joined. If you want to use promo code Hit the Ice, you get 50% off your first month at awesemo.com. Premium packages, so use that promo code. Feel free to give us a like if you do enjoy these live streams. Nolan and I will likely be back on Monday. I think it's actually a pretty good slate, 6 games. No show tomorrow, but there will be projections and all that good stuff. Projections today are updated. I'll take out the guys from the early slate right now after I'm done with this. And Spotlight Stacks is out. Line changes should be out in the next hour or so. Early lock, of course, so keep an eye out for that, as well as the weather in Philadelphia. Good luck tonight, guys, and we will see you Monday.